Hi everyone. This week I am going to go over a couple of different things as you get started in Blackboard. I'm going to go ahead and log in um, as sort of a fake student account just to show you a couple of things. I've had a couple of students ask about grades and comments and grading, so I want to go over that first, and then I want to take you through just a couple of things over the course of the next 2 weeks that might help you. So weeks 3 and 4 as you start working on those items. Okay, so first thing, so everything should be graded that you submitted for week 1. So the Hemingway and Me essay, the book work, and your discussion boards. If you are looking for your grades, and my guess is most importantly on those assignments that you turned in, you want to click on the My Grades tab. As soon as you click on My Grades, you will see all of the items that you've submitted so far. For this test student, there are not grades in for the discussion board, but you'll see that here too. And then the same things that I'm going to show you here can apply. So you can look at your comments on the discussion board. You can go into the discussion board the other way and see it there as well. But again, my guess is that most questions will be related to the assignments. So you'll be able to see your grade. So how many you got, and in this case, this test student received 50 out of 50 on the Hemingway and Me essay and 49 out of 50 on the Longman Writer book work. So for that one, the student's probably thinking, okay, what did I do? How did I get the point off? So the first step is probably to click over this view feedback where you'll get just my feedback. And for many of you, you probably will just see a percentage and a grade. Others, you might see a little bit more of a comment. What I will say for chapters 3 and 4, I do give you the answers for the ones that you got wrong. So it's not really something that you can revise and resubmit, unless there are a couple people who did a couple of sections incorrectly, like the entire section. And so then I did not provide answers, and I will specifically say you might want to revise this particular part. And then I encourage you to do that if you have the time and want to recover those points. You probably want to do that. You can either resubmit it through Blackboard or you can submit it to me through email, whatever works best for you. But that's only for this revision. So what I also then encourage you to do is actually click into the actual assignment, and I just clicked on the assignment. So in addition to kind of those overall comments, you're also going to see some individual comments in the specific places where you got something wrong or where I saw areas of opportunity. And I apologize that this is taking a little bit long to load, but as soon as it does, what you'll see on the actual document, on the preview space here, are little blue boxes where the comments are. And so here we are, and again, this isn't a real assignment, but just for the sake of showing you how to do this. You'll see these little blue boxes, and if I just click on them, you can see the comments that I've made. So use more detail. And for most of you, my comments are probably more elaborate than what you're seeing here. But again, this is just an example. And then if I scroll down here, I'm seeing another one, good outline. Scroll down. In this case, I just showed you usually the way that I tackle the rubric. So a few people did forget to submit that rubric by pasting it on their actual assignment. Please do that. It makes it much easier for me to add the grading points, but also then for you to see why you received what you received. So if that's not there, you're not necessarily going to see why you got points taken off or where you got points taken off. So you really want to make sure that you submit those rubrics. But a lot of times, in sections, if you received 10 out of 10, I'm just going to leave it blank. But if there was a particular section where I did take a point or two off, you'll see that then in that area. So in this case, 19 out of 20 for that section. It gave us 39 points. And then the total over here. And so let's pretend there was 10 points somewhere else. So this student got 49 out of 50. So now the student should be 100% clear as to why he or she received the grade that they received. If you go through that, look at the comments, look at the grades, all of those types of things, and something isn't making sense, please email me right away, and I'll look into it for you. Either, I can usually send you an explanation to make sure that that's clear for you. Okay. So that's how you look at grades, and that's how you look at my comments. I encourage you to do that as much as possible. So I want to go over the next couple of weeks. So we just finished up week 2. Everybody should have submitted their narrative descriptive essay. But let's just take a look at week 3. So you'll be doing your literature, your literary essay, and reading a couple of short stories, highly acclaimed short stories that are considered pieces of literature. You may be familiar with one or more than one of the stories. So for this week, you're going to need to read a couple of chapters, 12, 14, 15, and 21, and those relate to the approach that you'll be using for the literary essay. There is a quiz for chapter 21, which is chapter 21 is about writing about literature, some very important things in there, so please make sure you read the chapter and complete the quiz. All of your short stories are in this little folder, and if you click on them, all the links are here. If for any reason you can't access one of the links, let me know as soon as possible. The literary essay, which is here, this is, let me just go into it really quickly and just look at a couple of things. So you do have 3 options for the essay. Well, first let's look at the requirements. So this is really, really, really important, and we're coming off of the narrative, we're coming off that Hemingway and Me essay, which were first person, very personal essays. We're going to close the door on that now, and we're going to move into academic writing. And for the next, or all the assignments from here on out, we really need to stress and incorporate that academic writing. And academic writing includes some very important things. Third person point of view, which means we're not using I or me or us, and we're not using the second person you, which is speaking directly to the reader. So third person point of view, using present tense to discuss literature. So think about literature as something that's continual, it's living, it's breathing, it kind of stays present. And the same when you're talking about movies or articles, scholarly articles that you might be reading. Okay. So in this essay, you're going to address one or more of the short stories that we read. Most often, students will choose the short story that they identified with or the one that they liked the best. But for others, they find, you know, hey, I really liked this one, but I think I can write better about whatever it might be. So again, third person point of view, we're going to avoid using contractions, using the present tense, and also you want to make sure that you quote at least 2 passages from the story in your essay. Okay. So you have 3 options here: a compare-contrast of 2 characters, a transformation, talking about how a particular character transforms, and that would be using the process analysis, which is covered in chapter 14, or exploring one of the symbols in one of the stories and how it's used. I really need to stress that it has to be crystal clear which one of these you are using, and it should be. It shouldn't be real difficult to do, but based on your introduction and then your thesis, it should be crystal clear to me which one of these options you are choosing, and then obviously throughout. I am asking you to use MLA documentation style to indicate page numbers. I see a little error here, so let's fix it all together. So, and just MLA for this, when you move on to the research paper, you may switch to APA depending upon what your program offers. But when we write about literature, we use MLA style. That's pretty consistent. So if you were taking any other English class, when you're writing about literature, MLA style. So that's what we're going to be using for this essay. So you can review pages 482 to 482 to 484 in your textbook, or, you know, any of the things online can help you. There's also some resources posted in week 3 that you can take a look at. You do not need to do a works cited entry because we know the work that you're talking about, but you should incorporate the in-text citations. And really, simply put, an in-text citation is the author's last name and then the page number. And you saw me kind of take out the comma. I'm not sure why that was there. No comma. So just author's last name, page number, in parentheses, and then the period always comes outside of the parentheses after the sentence. So consider that parenthetical citation as part of the sentence. Okay. Make sure that the passage that you that you select really makes sense for the point that you're making, and make sure that the essay accurately is reflecting the story in the prompt selected. If you basically give me a book review or basically just summarize the story, you'll get a 0 and I will ask you to revise the essay. It happens more often than not, so really make sure that you're clear as to the direction of your writing. That's why we really focused on those thesis statements and what makes a good thesis statement. If you have a very clear thesis statement and it relates specifically to the prompt that you are addressing, then building your paragraphs off of that thesis should not be an issue. Okay? You should do some pre-writing. I highly encourage you to brainstorm, free write, just kind of come up with some ideas before you start tackling that essay. Assignment, probably around 2 to 3 pages. Please make sure you use a 12-point readable font, and please, please, please double space. You really should be at least 2 full pages, but I would not like to see anything more than 4 pages. You shouldn't need to do that. Here's the rubric for the essay. Please make sure that you review the rubric for the essay and post it or paste it onto your submission. Again, that will help with grading purposes. Okay, so that's the literary essay. Here are the things that I talked about, the MLA and text citations. Also this very short video about how to write an effective thesis statement. This will help you not only on this assignment, but also when we go into the research essay. The information on indirect characterization, this Steele link, you will need that, specifically this one for one of your discussion board posts. Also some more information on symbolism if you'd like that. And then you do have 3 discussion board posts, 1 for each of the stories, and they're all asking you to do something very specific, and probably asking you to do a little bit more in-depth outside of the box thinking than maybe we have in the past couple of discussion board posts. So give yourself ample time to complete those. If you have any questions about week 3, please let me know. I'm happy to answer them for you. I am also going to just take a few minutes to just look at week 4. Many of you have also asked about the research paper, and so I'm assuming that some people might get started. Just know that you have 2 weeks to complete week 4 because we have that summer shutdown over the July 4th holiday. With that being said, you do have 2 weeks, but you do have quite a list of things to do over those 2 weeks, including 2 assignments, your summary and evaluation, and your research essay prep with a paragraph. And then of course you have a quiz to complete, MLA or APA quiz, and that should be dependent upon what your program is asking you to use for the research essay. So if you don't know, contact someone within your program. And you'll see that I addressed that here in the assignment guidelines for the persuasive prep. I'll just pull this up really quick. What I'm asking you to do for the prep assignment, you can read all of this on your own. I think it's very straightforward, but you'll see here under the 5 sources in MLA Works Cited or APA references page format that you should choose based on what your program requires. And I just list a couple here that I know really want you to use APA, so nursing, criminal justice, and professional communications. Make sure that my capitalization is correct here. So those I know for a fact ask you to use APA. If you're unsure, please reach out to someone within your program. It's really going to help you in your future classes if you're learning the appropriate format now and not having to kind of switch gears when you get to those classes. Okay, summary and evaluation. Again, please make sure that you watch the video that I've provided and you read over the requirements for the summary and evaluation very carefully. The summary and evaluation is very specific. So there are some very specific things that I'm asking you to do, and the summary is something on its own, graded separately, and then the evaluation is completely separate, and it is something graded on its own. You're submitting it in one document in one place, but they're 2 very separate things. Okay? And also I encourage you to review the timeline for your research paper. I'm running out of time for my video, so I'm going to just go ahead and wrap up. If you have any other specific questions, please let me know, and I'll do periodic announcements as well if I have any other updates.